Hello everybody, I'm Luis and let's talk about ActiveAddInId inside the Revit API, and I'm gonna explain why this is really useful property inside the Revit API. Let's go. Here is the main for classes inside the Revit, and you can get this ActiveAddInId using the Y application, Y controlled application, the application and the controlled application as well. And with that, you can get the class adding ID. Inside of that class, basically you have these two methods to get the name of the adding or the GUI of the adding. That basically is a link with your main manifest for your plugin, and you can get the name and the ID of that adding. So that's not too useful, but has this ActiveAddInId has something really interesting. So let's take a look inside a command to understand what useful there is. Here's I have basically getting the ActiveAddInId. This should return my main adding, so my main manifest information, and that's great. And below I have this task run. This is gonna make sure this is gonna make the code inside to run outside the Revit API context. This means if I try to run something inside here, this is probably gonna fail because it's running outside the Revit API context. So what this does, this actually, instead of showing my main information for my adding, this is gonna be null. Yeah, this is gonna be null, and that's kind of interesting to know. So I can use this information to check if the location that I'm trying to execute some Revit code is enabled, and I can run that. Instead of using this old approach that I was using, I was trying to use the event. I tried to register an event, and most of the time you cannot register if you are outside the Revit API context. And it's gonna throw exception and gonna show false in that case. But now I can use something like this, much simpler, much easier to understand why. I need to have the AddIn context to run my code inside the Revit. So that's an easy way to know it. And that is tied with a lot of things inside the Revit API. So if I look in here, I'm actually, this is returning my add information, but I'm actually registering an application that is this guy. But this one is creating and registering this command. So this is kind of connected. So that's why I have the adding. If I try to run outside something, it's not gonna show my adding or my add information. So Revit gonna most of the time throw some exception and is not gonna allow to run the code because I don't have the adding context available. Yeah, that's a really good way to do it. And I was looking in other classes to take a look how that works. And like in the updaters, if I try to register a updater, I need to have basically adding in that, and to register that need to be the same adding as well. And other thing is the extensible storage have some configuration to enable only the vendor ID to read or write the data, and the application as well, the ID of the application can do that as well in the extensible storage. In the events, when you register an event, in this case in here, inside the event here I'm gonna have the same active ID that I register in here, so everything is connected. In the external event as well, you can only create an external event, and that gonna result in the same active adding ID that was registered before. So when I create a push button like I showed before, yes, and in the external service as well. This is the really useful to know, and that's how I'm gonna fix the issue with design automation. I only discovered this I guess feature because user talk about design automation issue in design automation. Here's the problem. This user has some extensible storage in some file that was creating in desktop application, and this has some, I'm pretty sure was vendor ID enabled. So inside Design Automation, for some reason, this is null. Yeah, and this creates, but has some context. It's a really weird, is an exception, I guess. But that's has some issue. So the user cannot read the storage, extensible storage, because the ID or the active ID was not the same. So yeah, that's how I get the whole story of the looking for this activity. So if I look in this sample, this I sent to Autodesk to try to explain the issue and try to fix that, but still waiting for something to happen. Anyway, here's what is happening. I have a startup and shutdown. In the startup, I'm showing the active ID. That's gonna show the same for my that I'm registered in Zen Automation. That's everything. Here everything works fine, and this one is the event that Design Automation used to trigger the whole code. And this is not the main event in some Revit API. This is a different library, so it's not the same event as this one, because this, I'm pretty sure this track the ActiveAddInId, yeah, and this one does not do that. So when this event trigger, this ActiveID is null. So yeah, that's one thing that happens. This is null. So if you try to do something with adding ID, you're gonna have some problems like in this one. And if you try to register some events in here, you're gonna result in an event with active ID null as well. So yeah, that's what's happening. And if I use the external service to register in here and then make the design automation event to trigger that service, I can, I guess, execute some code with active ID available in design automation. Yeah, that's what I did in my unit test for design automation to fix this limitation. So yeah, and that's it. That's why I think this AddIn Context is great. This is the most useful stuff I figured out inside Revit API. So yeah, don't forget to give a like in this video, don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to know more about the design automation stuff problem, I probably gonna create a new video about this one, or create a library, I guess, most probably. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching, and see ya.